Hey guys! Welcome back to the laboratory. In this video, we are looking at the core practicals for investigating reaction rates. By the end of this video, you should be able to explain a practical that investigates the relationship between reaction rates and concentration, and explain a practical that investigates the relationship between reaction rates and surface area. So, let's go. The rate of a reaction is a measure of how quickly the reactants form the products. Temperature, pressure, surface area, and concentration are all factors that can affect the rate of a chemical reaction. We can conduct practicals that allow us to investigate the effect of these factors on the rate of reaction. These methods involve observations of colour changes and gas production. We can investigate the effect that the concentration of the reactants has on the rate of reaction via the chemical reaction between sodium thiosulfate and hydrochloric acid, which produces sodium chloride, water, sulfur dioxide, and sulfur. This practical adopts the disappearing cross method, which is dependent on observable colour changes. To start, a small cross is drawn on a sheet of plain paper and placed onto a flat surface. It's important that a bold marker such as a biro is used to draw this cross, as opposed to a pencil, the reason for which will be explained shortly. Next, we use a measuring cylinder to measure out 10 cm cubed of sodium thiosulfate, which is then added to a conical flask. A different measuring cylinder is then used to measure out 5 cm cubed of hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid is added to the conical flask containing the sodium thiosulfate and immediately swirled to mix its contents. The conical flask is then placed onto the X you drew earlier. Start a stop clock and look down through the reaction mixture. As the reaction progresses and the products are formed, the contents of the flask will begin to turn cloudy. Continue to look down through the reaction mixture until the cross can no longer be seen. This stage of the practical explains why it's important that the X is drawn using a bold pen. A faint line drawn with a pencil may be difficult to see as the reaction progresses, possibly having you end your observations earlier than you should. Once the cross has disappeared, stop the clock and record the time on screen. Repeat steps 2 to 6 using a different concentration of hydrochloric acid each time. At the end of your practical, the results in your table should look something like this. One of the downfalls of this experiment is that the disappearing of the cross is based solely on human judgment, which of course is open to error. Be that as it may, the general trend in your results should reflect that, as the concentration of the hydrochloric acid is increased, the speed at which the cross disappears, and thus the rate of reaction, increases too. This is explained by the theory that an increase in concentration means an increase in particles, therefore increasing the likelihood of successful collisions, which results in a faster rate of reaction. Another method of investigating reaction rates is to observe gas production. However, this method is of course limited to reactions that form gases in the products. We can use this method to investigate the effect that the surface area of the reactants has on the rate of reaction via the chemical reaction between hydrochloric acid and calcium carbonate, which produces calcium chloride, water, and carbon dioxide gas. To begin, we set up our apparatus as shown in the diagram. Here we have a conical flask, a delivery tube, a trough, and an upturned measuring cylinder that is secured in place with a clamp. Next, we use a separate measuring cylinder to measure 40 cm cubed of dilute hydrochloric acid and add this to the conical flask. Then, we measure 5 grams of calcium carbonate using a scale. This is added to the dilute hydrochloric acid in the conical flask and immediately stoppered to prevent the carbon dioxide gas from escaping. Start a stop clock and record the volume of gas produced every 30 seconds until the reaction has finished. Repeat these steps, each time using 5 grams of calcium carbonate with a larger surface area than the previous. At the end of your practical, the results in your table should look something like this. The general trend in your results should reflect that, as the surface area of the calcium carbonate is increased, the speed at which the gas is produced increases too. This is explained by the theory that an increase in surface area means an increase in successful collisions, which results in a faster rate of reaction. Here's an example of a past paper question that I'd like for you to attempt to test your understanding of the content covered in this video. Pause the video and take your time to work it through. Press play once you're ready to check your answers. Calcium carbonate reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce carbon dioxide. The word equation for this reaction is as follows. 2 samples of calcium carbonate are provided. One sample is in the form of large marble chips, and the other sample is in the form of small marble chips. Describe, in detail, an investigation to find the effect of using small marble chips rather than large marble chips on this rate of reaction. As I always say, the wording and information provided in this question are crucial, and at this point, I hope you are beginning to get the knack for how to interpret what is being asked of you in these questions. This is a describe question, so your response is not about explaining the theory behind what you are doing, but instead demonstrating that you are able to work scientifically. How do you manage your variables? Are you using the right equipment throughout the experiment? How do you conduct your experiment to ensure the results are reliable? Much like any other 6-mark question, there are more than 6 responses you can be awarded marks for. And your answer is not solely based on these points, but also how accurate your scientific knowledge is. So, here are the marking points for this question. Measure a fixed volume of hydrochloric acid and measure the mass of large or small marble chips. Add both to a suitable container, such as a flask or beaker, and mix the two together. Collect the carbon dioxide gas formed using a suitable means, such as a gas syringe. Measure the volume of gas produced and the time taken to produce it. Then repeat the experiment. However, this time, use the other size of marble chips, ensuring they are of the same mass, and that the volume and concentration of the acid are the same too. Your results should show that the reaction is faster with the smaller marble chips. You can see the marking points for this question are drawing on your ability to work scientifically. For example, the importance of making sure that you are using an acid of the same volume and concentration in both practicals, and ensuring that the mass of the marble chips used for both are the same, despite having different surface areas. So, how did you do on this question? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for joining me in the laboratory. Please leave a like on this video if you found it useful, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss another one. See you soon!